David, thank you very much for taking time out at this first Solar Power UK conference. What do you feel are important aspects of holding a conference like this in the UK?
Well, this is a particularly good time, of course, because the new coalition government has emphasised and re-emphasised its commitment to small-scale renewable energy. We know that we're going to have announcements about spending very soon. We also know that we're going to have a new microgeneration strategy. We're consulting on that at the moment. So a conference like this is an opportunity for 2 days worth of discussion about all of the matters that really make a difference to the industry. And of course government needs to be involved in those sorts of conversations. I think the thing which has been most encouraging about the work that's been happening so far on microgeneration consultation is that most of the proposals involve some sort of partnership working with all of the different players. This isn't industry just saying we need government to do things, and this isn't government just telling industry what to do. It's a partnership.
Well, you obviously have seen PV take off in the UK. Could you give us an update on what the latest installation figures are?
Sure. Well, I had a look on the Ofgem website just before I came along. It looks like we've got something like 12,500 installations in total eligible for the feed-in tariff, and something like 92% of those are actually solar PV, so about 11,500 solar PV installations when you count them per installation.
Does this meet or exceed expectations for PV?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, I think government tends to try not to get drawn into kind of making predictions for every 6 months. We've got ideas of how many installations we think will come across all the way out to 2020. But frankly, there's an awful lot of variables in the first 6 months. Obviously, whether there was pent-up demand, new offers that are coming on, the uncertainty maybe about the future could cut both ways. People might be more getting in quickly, or they might be waiting. So I'm not really going to say whether that's above or below expectation, but certainly we're very pleased to see this.
Now, obviously, hopefully with the continued growth of solar in the UK and the adoption both across the three key markets of residential, commercial and utility scale, there's obviously issues about making sure that everything that can be done through regulation, through education, is done so that we don't have any sort of bottleneck issues or any technical challenges. What is DECC doing currently about specifically the emergence of PV and what needs to be addressed to make this whole move to PV happen properly?
Well, I mean, PV cuts across a whole wide range of different policy areas. So you probably don't want me to give a long list of everything we're doing in the department, but a few things that really matter. The microgeneration strategy is something which new ministers are committed to. In fact, they're required by law to produce a new strategy, and we are consulting on that now. So the solar PV industry is well represented on the working groups, and clearly, because of the way in which the industry has taken off in the last 6 months, we are really keen to make sure that we are doing everything we can to remove the non-financial barriers. There's no point bringing in financial incentives and then having other things that are slowing down the deployment unnecessarily. I should also mention the whole issue of future energy networks. We have a team called Future Energy Networks in the department, and their job is to think about what decentralisation might mean to the kind of demand challenges. We've heard a little bit about this at the conference, about smarter ways of using energy, smarter designs of products. So we have a team that looks at that. We also have, obviously, the team whose job it is to hit the renewables target, and that means at all scales. So we have a lot of discussion about commercial level renewables, about local community level renewables, and indeed individual household renewables. And overall, we must not forget that this coalition government is also committed to a fundamental look at the electricity market itself. So there will be a consultation on electricity market reform as well coming up soon.
So one final question for you is, do you expect continued growth of installations specifically to do with solar?
I think I can answer that question very easily, which is yes. If you'd asked me how much, I think that would be a more difficult question. There is no doubt that solar panels are, in many people's minds, what they mean by going green. So if you say to people, what are you doing? What can we do in this community? What can we do to our own houses? One message is around the Green Deal and around energy efficiency, and we hope that message is getting through because it's a very cost-effective way of taking green action. But the other way, and the way that really energises people who want to engage in this subject, is to somehow make their own energy, whether they're generating electricity or whether they're producing their own heat. The idea of doing it yourself is a really powerful message, and I think it's something that's really worth emphasising from the government perspective. The coalition government's commitment to small-scale generation and photovoltaics included in that commitment is not about trying to meet a particular target in a particularly cost-effective way. Indeed, we know that there are more cost-effective ways of meeting targets like the renewables target. It's about something much wider than that. It's about enabling communities and people to do things that matter to them, things that they want to do, giving the choice to the consumer rather than being directed from Whitehall. So it's part of the big movement towards a more localist, bigger society, and it's about people taking responsibility for their own energy action, and I think solar PV is a very visible, very popular means of doing that. So I would predict big growth in the future.